There we go.
What's up, Crossbones Nation? New format for you coming at you today. We got some new things going on, some different things going on, trying to always improve and get better for you. This version of the broadcast podcast, I'm not even sure, YouTube cast, is that what this would be? Is affiliated with and supported by CrossBones MMA and our store and affiliate page. On our store and affiliate page, you can check out NatureBox. NatureBox sends pre-packaged snacks that are healthy for you and good for you right to your house. You don't have to go to the store. You don't have to do anything. They come right to you. It doesn't get easier than that. We're also associated and affiliated with F3 Foods. F3 Foods is sending you food right to your house. Same thing as NatureBox, but instead of snacks, they're sending you full meals. If you go on the GetFitPlan.com, or you can just go to CrossBonesMMA.com and click on the banner. You guys have the opportunity to order entire months of food, and these things come to you prepackaged, ready to go, ready to eat, all healthy stuff, nothing that's going to make you fat and sick. This stuff is going to make you fit and lean, so make sure you check them out. Troxafin.com is another one that helps us out. Troxafin.com, and Troxafin is a testosterone booster that helps boost your free testosterone in your body, helping you out. Drop the body fat, build the lean muscle, help you out with your energy, not just outside the house, but in the bedroom where it's important. So make sure you guys check that out as well. We also part of DraftKings, so go over to DraftKings.com and check them out. They got an awesome thing going where you can go in and you can do virtual or fantasy MMA. If you guys are into fantasy sports, fantasy football, rotisserie baseball, I think you can do fantasy hockey and basketball, I'm not sure, but now you can even do fantasy MMA, so check them out as well. Go to DraftKings.com. I don't know if there's a banner up on the website yet, but if not, it'll be there shortly. And then, of course, On It. On It, you can go right to the website. You can click on that. That'll bring you to their site. On It has supplements, has food, has workout equipment, has information, everything you need to take all these things that we're part of and make it one complete program for you, get you in the best shape of your life. But enough of that. Let's get right into the show today. We got Eddie and we got our boy Nick. Eddie, what's going on, man?
Oh man, not much. Just the usual, trying to get off the job to go do what I want to do for fun, the actual job that I want, I guess. But we actually hit 86 degrees, 85 degrees in Arizona today. Are you guys still snowed in?
Yeah. Pretty much another, we got more ice and snow over the weekend. But, at this point in the year here, it snows just about every day, even if it's just like an inch or, a dusting. But because it never gets above freezing, it just cakes up and adds up and adds it up and adds up. So, where other people might get, an inch of snow and then it melts the next day and then they get another inch, and I get 2 inches now. So we're almost at 2 feet of snow sitting on my back deck right now. But you know what? The freaking kids love it, man. And they're sleigh riding. They're going off our fucking roof into the backyard. So it's all cool.
Shit, man, I can't do that shit over here. There's no snow. You'll land on rocks and snakes and shit. So, yeah, but doing pretty good, man. How are you doing over there, Nick?
I'm doing good. Just enjoying the warm weather, not missing the cold weather because I'm originally from Pennsylvania. So, just enjoying it. Yeah, I'm missing when I was a kid, but now that I'm an adult, I don't think I'll enjoy shoveling snow off my deck or anything like that. But other than that, it's good down here. Just doing the same old stuff every day.
All right. Well, we got a couple of different topics, but before we get into the MMA, Eddie, I know you had been binge watching Walking Dead, catching up on everything. Did you see the season opener yet?
I did, and this is the thing. I have a lot of friends that are real big fans of it, and we actually talk during the episode. And I watched it, and I made a call on what was going to happen, and I was right on the money with it, which kind of upset me because I wanted something else different. I wanted something else to happen, but I called what actually did. So, but I did get to watch it, and I'm pretty happy it's back. The only crappy part is that you can't just binge watch this season. You have to actually wait every single week, and it's irritating as hell.
Yep, me and the wife were sitting there watching it, and as soon as they brought the new guy into the mix, I was like, he's going. I go, every season there's only one black guy. I go, there's 2 black guys in this episode. One of them's dead by the end of the show. She's like, no. I was like, watch it. 5 minutes in, he gets bit. I just looked at her. I did one of these with the hands raised. I was like, I told you. So, it's like in the post-apocalyptic world, you can only have one black guy with you at any given time, or else, bad shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But did you watch the show, Nick?
Yeah, no, I'm a frequent watcher of it, and I said the same thing you did, that there can only be either one or two black guys. There's three. I think there was Bob, this person, that, yeah. No, but I said the same thing. I'm like, watch, that person's going to die because there can be a certain amount of black people, and
exactly.
He died. And I went to my girlfriend, I'm like, told you. She's like, I know, you're right.
Yeah. It's a crazy show, though. It was awesome. That and Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is coming back soon, so hopefully that'll be...
Here's the thing about Game of Thrones. I didn't start watching Game of Thrones the same time everybody else did. I haven't caught up on it because it doesn't interest me that much. But the first episode, I actually kind of skipped to, like, I don't know where I skipped to, but I didn't catch the first episode. The first episode I saw, this giant freaking Hawaiian-looking dude was just ramming the shit out of a, like, small little blonde white girl just from behind and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is it? Like, it blew my mind. I didn't think you could actually put that shit on TV. And then it was like, I remember it was HBO, but still, damn, like, out of nowhere, just straight to the fucking, it was crazy.
It's a freaking great show. One of the best shows, if not the best show out there. But yeah, that guy, he's a fucking monster. He used to be on another show, Stargate, Atlantis or something like that. Same thing, big jack dude. Wasn't he like the new Conan? Wasn't he? I think he was, right?
Probably. I don't know.
I think so. But all right, enough of that shit. Let's get into all the other shit that happened in the world today or over the last week. Let's talk about Silva's second test coming back clean. At this point, does any of that matter? He had the metabolites in his system on his first test, which is basically the body's way of getting rid of the substance in the system. So it wasn't that it was an active substance in the system; it was on its way out. His second test came back clean. So what do you think happened here? Let's start with you, Eddie.
All right. What I think happened is that it was kind of like a cycle. I don't know. I kind of changed my own theory like 4 or 5 times since the news broke out of his positive test. At first, I thought, man, this motherfucker has been, he's been using this stuff his whole career. That's how he got all these wins, and whatever, screw his legacy. But then I figured, then I started thinking about it more. He's older. He's coming back from an injury that usually takes more than a year to come back from, and he came back in like no time, right? He was already walking like 3 weeks later, or whatever it was. So maybe the pressure to come back quicker or sooner, due to the fact that he's getting older and doesn't have that many fights left in his body, I guess maybe that's what helped. I don't know, persuaded him to use it, right? So, just like you said, metabolites means it's on its way out of the body, which means the cycle was designed to end at some point. Because on January 19th, his other test came back clean, which means it was no longer in his body. And just to me, all it sounds like is that it was a cycle designed to not. To end at a certain point, be out of his body for, due to those tests and everything. But Silva wasn't, people keep talking about how Silva wasn't tested prior to the, I believe the Weidman fights. The 2 Weidman fights, he wasn't randomly drug tested. So, unfortunately, we don't have a lot to work with as far as random drug tests go. But I don't know, man. It's a weird story that just gets weirder with him getting pulled off of Tough Brazil, having Big Knock come in. There was a statement that was supposed to be that supposedly he released, and then he came out and said he didn't release anything. His whole story is just a huge tornado of just craziness, and you know what? I'm wondering what a super fan like Nick Pilecki thinks of this whole issue with Anderson Silva.
Well, I'm in the same boat as you, Eddie. I think it was a cycle designed to be out of his system before the test came out, and still, Ronda Rousey said it best. She came out with a quote, I believe today or yesterday, saying that when she found out she was heartbroken, she just wanted to cry. I felt the same damn way, but it's just, I'm thinking the positive out of it. Maybe it was a cycle to help him heal, and he wasn't doing it to help him gain anything in the octagon or anything like that, and then he did get caught. But I don't like that they took him out of Tough Brazil. I think he could have still coached that. He wasn't going to fight Shogun anyway, so it was just him coaching. I don't know. I understand maybe the Athletic Commission wanted to make an example out of him, but they're already making an example out of him. I think they're holding his purse, his whole money, until everything's is fixed and everything like that. So I don't know. I am a super fan, but we will have to see what else comes out of it. We have to wait till his post-fight test comes back, see if anything was in that or anything like that. But yeah.
Well, here's the whole thing with the Ultimate Fighter and him coaching Tough Brazil is it's being filmed in Vegas. And with that being said, in order to corner a fight in Vegas, you have to have a valid fighting license. So all the corners that take place at any event, they have valid licenses. And with him failing the drug test, they can't give him a valid license, so he can't corner. So there was a lot of speculation of how they were going to do it. He just wasn't going to corner the guys. But Dana came out originally and said that we're too far into it. We can't take him out. Bullshit. That's happened before. Misha started coaching the day they started filming. That was the last second. Now, granted, these guys have been filming for about 2.5 weeks at this point, but we've had other instances where coaches switched out due to injury. So this was, I think, initially Dana just trying to, ease the situation, saying, we're not doing anything drastic. We're going to back our boy up. But I think the more and more that came out, it had to change, and it had to be done. As far as the money goes, originally there was a report by a Brazilian website, and I think Bloody Elbow picked it up pretty quickly and ran with it, saying that the UFC stopped a $6 million payment, $600,000 in fight purse, $200,000 in bonus, and then the rest was pay-per-view points. They came out and said that that's not true. The commission's the only one that can stop a payment, and they did not do it. The fighters have been paid, but the UFC is reserving the right to go after that money, pending the Nevada Athletic Commission's finding when it comes to the post-fight drug test. So he's gotten paid, and he got fucking paid. Sweet, $6 million. Suppose is the reported number for that event. So he got paid well, and now it's really up in the hands. I think February 17th is the hearing. Is that what you guys heard?
Yeah, February next Tuesday is the date for them to set a date to talk about it. So, on the 17th, they're gonna highly likely suspend Silva and Diaz and Lombard. They're gonna temporarily suspend them, and then I think that day they're gonna decide about when they're going to actually schedule the disciplinary hearings to find out what their punishment is gonna be.
Yeah, and the girl. Who's the girl that just recently, Ashley Evans Smith?
Mm-hmm.
Her hearing's also on the 17th, so it's going to be a full docket that day. I think we'll see that as a Fight Pass event. Or do you think that they won't? Do you think they won't because it's going to make them look bad? What do you think?
No, they'll do it. They'll do it because the UFC just loves showing. I don't know, man. I don't know if they. Somehow they're going to take advantage of this, right? In order to promote the UFC more.
Absolutely, that's why it's business.
Exactly. They're going to find a way to make money off of this. Somehow, some way. It's going to happen. They can make a T-shirt saying Henderson Silva, roided up, whatever. Yeah, and they'll sell it on UFC.com or Reebok and all that crap. They'll get hell, I'm sure there's a T-shirt coming with John Jones all powdered up right here, coming up with a big Reebok sign under it. So, you never know, but I'm sure somehow, some way they'll find a way to make money off of this.
Absolutely, and Don King will pass out again. It'll all be good. But I don't know if you guys saw it. I know you guys follow him, but Front Row Brian tweeted out earlier that the UFC had taken these advanced steps to talk about or to look into drug testing, and they sent random tests to an independent lab to get tested. No names, just numbers. Basically told the guys, piss in this cup. It won't count against you if something comes back. We just want to see what's going on. And 70% of the tests failed that they sent out. Are we looking at the absolute rampant use of performance enhancing drugs here with the UFC and with mixed martial arts?
You know what? It absolutely. But I will say this: if you go and do that in the NFL with real testing, let's say you start testing for HGH and all that stuff in the NFL. I bet money that you're gonna get a number in the high 90s, okay, of guys on stuff. So it's a sports wide, not just MMA. Every sport has an issue. But if we're talking MMA only, absolutely there's a lot of issues. Tim Kennedy's been talking about it forever. Brian Stan retired because of it. GSP semi-retired because of it. Diaz has been calling guys out for doing it against him, for taking PEDs in the fights against him all the time. Although he is on weed, but that's not a PED whatsoever. I can attest to that. So it's definitely a problem for sure. And it's the only way you can clean it up, or the way I see that the only way you can actually clean up the sport is by making the penalties so damn severe that that it's too much of a risk, right? So instead of an 8-month or 9-month suspension, let's throw out 3 years. Let's say 3 years you can't fight anywhere. Make it hurt.
Well, how about this? I heard this one floated, and I actually like this idea. First offense, 1 year. Second offense, you're done. Have a nice life. What do you guys think about that?
It would definitely clean him up. What do you think, Nick?
I agree with that. First offense, fine, suspended for a year, and then second offense, done. It's getting ridiculous, especially with all. I think at least 70% of the fighters are on something. They have to be on something. Like maybe they're not getting test positive for anything. Maybe they're good with their cycle and everything. But I think most of them have to be on something. But it's just we never caught that, or they've never been caught yet. So it's crazy. I think Brendan Schaub even said it best on his cast, that he said he thinks 90% of the fighters that he fought was on something, and he knows that they were on something, but they just never got caught. So.
Well, in one of the interviews I did with a fighter not too long ago, before we started recording the conversation, he had said that he knew specifically of anywhere between 20 and 30 fighters that were active UFC fighters that took stuff. He said, and he claims that he never did, and I don't want to, because I'm not saying a name, I'll say that his record doesn't look like somebody who's gone out of his way to enhance his winning streaks, I'll just say. But he said it's out there, and a lot of guys are doing it. Now, the most recent one that we just heard about the other day was Hector Lombard, which essentially cost Rory McDonald the fight at this point, and we'll see what happens. Supposedly, they're actively searching for a new opponent for him. But what do you know about Hector Lombard failing? I know, Eddie, you were able to actually say the substance that he failed for, but why don't you go into a little more depth with that?
All right. So what he took was actually a designer steroid. It's called desoxymethyltestosterone, or DMT for short, not to be confused with the psychedelic.
Not the other DMT.
Yeah, not to be confused with psychedelic, okay? If Lombard was on the psychedelic DMT, he'd be wearing a tutu, flying around, trying to find rainbows and shit, and like pots of gold. No. He was on desoxymethyltestosterone, which is an anabolic steroid. It's a designer steroid. It's a PED. It was invented in 1961 by this guy named Max Huffman, but it was never brought to market, what they call it. It wasn't mass distributed until it was rediscovered in 2005 by this guy Patrick Arnold, who, by the way, supplied it over to Victor Conti, who we all know in the Baco scandal. Is a steroid supplier, or was a steroid supplier, and now he wants to play, angel of the PEDs or whatever, trying to bust people. But yeah, it's weird. It's not a very new thing, but it's something that just wasn't in the forefront of steroids until about now. And for Lombard, look, man, nobody was surprised. Not a damn person was surprised. Every website did these, Twitter responds, or Twitter reacts to the Lombard news. Not one tweet about it being surprising. Not one. Tim Kennedy, in fact, was upset that it wasn't surprising. So it's guys that fought Lombard were upset, but they were like, yeah, we weren't surprised. So at this point, Lombard, with all the trash talk he's been throwing out there about guys not wanting to fight him, there's kind of a reason. You're jacked up on juice, dude. So yeah, it's a steroid. It's straight up anabolic steroids, and then and now you know why he's so big.
Well, that was the one tweet that I saw was Hector Lombard pop for juice. Is anybody surprised? If you are, look at him. He's the Incredible Hulk. And that guy's got the muscle mass, which not to go back a subject here with Anderson Silva. That was one of the things with Anderson Silva. You never looked at him and went, holy shit, that dude is roided up. He never looked like Kung Lee. He never looked like these guys. where you were like, this guy is on something. He was never jacked. I mean, he was lean, but not nothing tight, nothing. He was a little flabby here and there, but just his skill level and his fighting technique is what carried him through. But you never looked at him and went, holy jeez, this guy's on something. He's going to hurt somebody. But when you look at guys like Hector Lombard, that guy is a freaking monster, and he is just jacked. And now guys can do that, and guys do that naturally, but apparently, to the viewing public, it's less shocking when somebody that looks like him comes back positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, this wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't fighting, if it wasn't human trying to break another human's face with their fists, right? If we weren't throwing fists and bones at each other, it wouldn't be a big deal. For example, I've always said they need to legalize steroids in baseball. That is a piss-boring sport. You bring the steroids to baseball, and you get another home run derby going, and who's going to get 80, who's going to get 90, who's going to get 100. I'll start watching, and I can't stand baseball. So yep. It's because it's such a physical thing where someone could get killed in the cage, and I forgot the last person that said it, but a lot of people already came out saying, you know what, it's gonna take someone dying in the cage for us to be serious about this, and I hope that these positive tests have been coming out lately are basically start that process before we get to someone dead in the octagon.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
No, I have to agree with Eddie. Like, it's going to take someone to die in the octagon for them to notice that steroids are a thing and they are dangerous. I wasn't surprised when Hector Lombard tested positive. Like you said, John, he's the Hulk. He's huge. He's ginormous. And if he didn't test positive for something, then I'll be like, all right, that's cool. Maybe whatever he does, I want to do it. But no, it's getting ridiculous with it. We had 3 tests come back positive within the last week and a half. It's getting crazy, and it's the UFC and the athletic commission are going to have to do something about it. Even if it's just suspending people, if it's throwing out huge fines and suspending people, something's going to have to happen.
Well, here's the thing. We just closed out January, which in terms of pay-per-view, in terms of fights, was probably the best month that the UFC has had in close to 14 to 15 months. Action-packed, great cards, really. Not much that people were frowning upon, and we had nobody pull out from injury. Now, what turned out, though, is out of the 2 pay-per-view events for the month, 3 out of the 4 headliners got popped for something. Jones popped for coke, Silva popped for PEDs, and the other Diaz popped for marijuana. So what are we seeing here when it comes to the UFC? Is this one of those things where it's going to get better before it gets worse as they try to get proactive? And is it something that they can ever really take care of with the fact that these are state to state? I mean, if Nevada, let's just say, throws it out there, Nevada says, you know what, we're gonna piss test everybody. And the UFC knows that, our card might fall apart. Could they turn around and go, well, you know what, we're going to go to California where it's less strict, or we're going to go to Oklahoma where it's less strict? I mean, can without a national body governing this, can all the states come together and come to a consensus of how they're going to handle this?
I mean, they could. Most commissions follow Nevada's lead. This is how it's been forever. So they could start doing this whole, we'll go over here then, or we'll go over here, whatever. At some point, I believe they're all going to catch up, and they're all going to be on the same strict. They're going to set the same bar up, for testing, and the UFC is going to either have to, deal with it or go to Brazil and fight. That's kind of what it's going to be.
And yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I have to agree. It's gonna. All the athletic commissions have to come together and talk about and fix it, because it can't be just Nevada, or it can't be just California. It has to be. They all have to come, or they're going to become like Vitor Belfort, who just wants to fight in Brazil because he can take TRT. It's everyone has to come together, like one person, and just figure this out and just get it done. Because in my opinion, it's ruining the sport. Even though the top guys that challenge for belts and that are champions are the people that are testing positive, the contenders that are testing positive. We need to get this straightened out so then we can hopefully maybe have real contenders, or even the contenders can show that they are real.
Now, Chael Sonnen and Firas Zahabi both come out and said that Silva can no longer be called the greatest of all time, that GSP is stepping up into that role. What's your opinion on that? What do you think, Eddie?
I don't care. I mean, look, I already thought GSP might be number 2, if not 1A, as far as, the best ever. And maybe even tied. I mean, look, to me, it's always going to be Faber on top, and then Silva, and then GSP. Even though GSP was the king of just, laying on people for the most part. But as far as talking about this whole Silva got tested, so, we're going to change the rankings. It's like the pound-for-pound rankings. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's always going to be up to opinion. There's always going to be someone that thinks Silva is the best ever. There's always going to be people that think GSP is the best ever, and Fedor doesn't even, rank. There's always going to be people that think Nick Diaz is the best ever. Me. And but regardless, it's always up to opinion. And so anytime it's up to an opinion or just what you feel like saying, I mean, yeah, people for us to say whatever he wants. Sonnen's going to say everything he can think of. So, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But to me, does it put GSP as the best ever? I will. I don't know. I'll wait till the whole story's done, till we finally see at the end what Anderson Silva's legacy is going to be, before I can actually say, okay, who's better. But like I said, to me, Fedor is always going to be the top.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
You already know my answers. I think he's still the greatest of all time, even though he did pop positive for steroids, because we don't know if he did it his whole career. Now, if it comes out that maybe he did it his whole career, then my opinion will change. But other than that, I think I'm with Eddie. It's Fedor, Anderson, and then I have John Jones before GSP, because GSP was that guy who just apparently laid on top of everybody and everything. But where is he now? He's not competing. He looks huge for some reason. In his Instagram video yesterday, he was doing, I don't even know what he was doing, but he was holding himself up in like a dip position, kicking his legs out, and he looked jacked. So you're telling me GSP is doing that all natural, or is he doing something too? And he's just trying to make himself look better. It's just, we don't know, because he's not competing anymore. If he was still competing, then that debate would come up. But if he's not competing, we can't bring that debate up.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the greatest of all time debate for me is this. In I don't know the specific dates, so don't fuck with me. 60s, 70s, whatever it was, Johnny Unitas was the greatest quarterback that ever lived. He was the greatest of all time. Then the guy down in Dallas, and I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I can't think of his name. Roger Staubach was the greatest of all time. Now you're talking Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Peyton Manning's the greatest of all time. In 15, 20 years, there's going to be another guy that they're going to be like, this guy's the greatest of all time. Greatest of all time is a bullshit saying, because in order for you to have the greatest of all time, it needs to stop right now. The UFC needs to close the doors. There needs to be never another MMA match in the history of the world. And then you can say, all right, they started in 93, they ended in 2015. The guy who's the greatest fighter of all time was this guy. He was the greatest UFC or MMA fighter of all time, because they have a time frame that they can look at. When it's an ongoing sport, there's always going to be a new guy that's the greatest of all time. There's always going to be that new guy, the next evolution of a fighter. So the greatest of all time argument has always been one that kind of rubs me the wrong way, because it's an ongoing evolution. You're seeing people that look at UFC 1. Yeah, Shamrock was he was a wrestler. You had Hoyce, who was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. You had Leo. What was his name? The dude with the ponytail. And he was like a Taekwondo guy. But they all had just one discipline. Now it's evolved where these guys are the people that we see fighting now have only trained in mixed martial arts. They've never had, just grappling, just wrestling, just jiu-jitsu. It's been mixed martial arts from day one. So this is the new evolution of the fighter. We're going to see something else in 5 years, 10 years. So there's always going to be a new greatest of all time. But that's my thought on that. It's pretty crazy, but now the other thing that we have to look at and talk about is with the commission that's testing, what's going on where they're not getting their test back in time? what's the point of out-of-competition testing if we're not going to know anything about until afterwards? Eddie, you had said earlier that, you know, people have been saying, you know, somebody's going to get killed at some point in the cage because of a fighter on performance-enhancing drugs. The whole purpose of out-of-competition testing is to eliminate that possibility. But when we have fights that are taking place and then we're getting results of tests that took place a month beforehand after the fight and they're coming back hot, it defeats the purpose. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, look, it's exactly like you said. You know, there's no reason to have it anymore. You know, why do it if it's not going to be effective? If you're not even going to check it, what's the point of testing fighters out of competition if you're not going to get the results back? Now, a lot of people, you know, Nevada's come out saying, "Oh, we're going to make sure we get these tests back now." California, you know, is doing that for UFC 184. They just tested Ronda Rousey and Kat Zingano randomly. So California's saying, "Oh, and we'll get them back before the fight. It's no problem, not a big deal." But Nevada's making themselves look really silly and or corrupt as all hell. Now, by that, I mean this. Nevada, the Nevada State Athletic Commission doesn't, I don't think, I've never seen their budget, but it doesn't seem like like they make enough money from the state, or they don't get enough funding from the state itself.
Funny that you bring that up. Let me interrupt you real quick, because I actually heard the numbers. They get a minimum of $50,000 per event, and for pay-per-view events that take place in Nevada, they get 6% of the take. So they're making a ton of money on these events. So go ahead, sorry.
Well, there you have it. Shit. I mean, they're making a lot of money on these events. You can't take out Silva before the fight because then you don't get that much money. You can't take John Jones before his fight because you don't get that much money. You know, so they're making themselves look really bad and a little corrupt and pretty dirty. So they're gonna have to fix that issue, or I don't know. They got to do something, because just like you said, man, someone's gonna get killed, and someone's. I mean, Silva's legacy is already starting to get shot up. So, yeah, man, it's irritating as hell. But yeah, the money definitely has something to do with it.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's the money thing. That's the whole reason why they wait a week after the fight to come out with the results, because they already got paid and they're like, all right, cool, here's the results. This is what happened. We didn't want you to pull this card so we can stop making money. Or it could be the UFC's fault too. Maybe they get it and they don't release it, and they're like, oh no, John Jones fight, and that's a big draw. Anderson Silva fight with Nick Diaz, that's another big draw. Let's not release it yet. Let it pan out, and then we're gonna slap them with it. I think it's a corrupt thing with the athletic commission, and we'll have this. It has to change. Those out of competition testing needs to come out right before the test. Because say Hector Lombard tested positive for steroids and knocked the crap out of his last opponent, and then the test came back and he got injured or something like that. Who's going to get blamed for it? The athletic commission, because they didn't give their test out the right time. So. It's gonna take someone dying to change everything.
Oh,
or someone
absolutely.
getting really hurt. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and it you know, whether or not it's corrupt, nobody will really ever know unless, you know, at some point down the line it comes out. But it gives the air of corruption, and that's always going to feed into the conspiracies and all the other issues. And that's the problem here. But, you know, let's talk about you know, the upcoming card for this weekend. And Eddie, I'm going to throw it to you to start off.
All right, upcoming card this weekend. Originally, we were supposed to see. Wow, I already forgot the event. Crap, the main event fighters. Anyway, well, Benson Henderson steps up, makes his welterweight debut, his 170 debut against Brandon Thatch this weekend in Colorado at UFC Fight Night. Henderson versus Thatch. Brandon Thatch is the guy that went on like a very, very long, had a long fight streak, but keeps getting hurt. Still has that fight streak. So we're gonna see if he can keep. Actually, we're gonna see if Benson Henderson can deal with the size difference and the weight difference. But I'm sure he's happy about that weight cut not being too harsh on him. But let's start with the UFC Fight Pass early prelims. First fight of the night. And actually, you know what we can do here? I could actually put up the card itself. Give me 1 second. What I can do is screen share the card. That's what I love about YouTube. I could do this right here. All right, so.
Oh, very nice. Look at that.
Yeah, we'll start. All right, starting from the bottom here, early fight pass prelims. James Muntarsri, whatever, the Moonwalker, taking on Cody Pfister. That's that 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific starting time. In the Fox Sports 1 prelim, we get a guy that came with a lot of potential, but has kind of fallen off recently. Tim Elliott taking on Zach Makovsky, whose nickname is Fun Size. For the 125ers, it's a pretty damn appropriate nickname. After that, we get Chas Skelly against Jim Ehlers. Then Efrain Escudero, somehow he's still in the UFC, but okay, he needs this win. Escudero's a guy who, if he loses this fight, I guarantee you he's on that list of guys that get cut next. Then the headliner, I guess, for the Fox Sports 1 prelims is Nick Lentz against Levan Makshvili, who has an awesome nickname, in my opinion, is the Hornet, but relatively inexperienced, but is 9-1 in the featherweight division. So that is Fox Sports 1 prelim starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time, the Fox Sports 1 main card kicks off with Ray Borg. First of all, this is the fight of the two best nicknames in a very long time. The Taz-Mexican, Ray Borg, taking on the Greek assassin, Chris Kalades. I don't even care how this fight goes down. I just want to hear Bruce Buffer say the nicknames. So that'll be fun. After that, Michael Prazeres taking on Kevin Lee, the Motown Phenom. Then Dan Kelly taking on Patrick Walsh. Then finally a fight that actually should be pretty fun. Neil Magny taking on Kichi Kunimoto. And in the co-main event, we get Max Holloway against Cole Miller. Two high-level fighters, two guys that like to bring the show. This should be a pretty good fight. And, of course, the main event, former lightweight champion Benson Henderson taking on Brandon Thatch. Again, like I said at the beginning of this little review here, or preview, Brandon Thatch coming off just injury after injury. I believe he hasn't fought in like a little longer than a year, maybe longer than that. Taking on Benson Henderson, who lost his fight first of all, the best part of it to me was that he was wearing a Seattle Seahawks t-shirt, and he lost his fight, and his face was priceless. And then, and then he went ahead and said, you know what, I'll fight next week. He was that pissed off about it. Well, he kind of gets his chance. On short notice, gets to fight in Colorado against a guy in a higher weight class than he is. So Benson making his welterweight debut should be pretty interesting. Any fights to you guys that pop out in the entire card?
Go ahead, Nick.
I'm liking to see Efrain Escudero hopefully stay in the UFC. I do like him as a fighter. Heard some of his interviews too. He seems to be like an awesome person. I like him. Hopefully he can get this win and stay in the UFC. And then the Neil Magny fight, I cannot wait for that fight. I think it's gonna be a good fight. He has a tough contest for him, but I think he can pull it off. And then of course I get to see Ben Henderson fight again after 2 or 3 weeks after he fought. So it'll be a good fight. Hopefully he can get back on top and start going for a title shot. I kind of want to see how he does in the welterweight division. Maybe he can make this his home because he has that curse of fighting Anthony Pettis and losing every time. So maybe he can make this a home, be a lighter welterweight, and be quicker than everyone else, and maybe pick people apart. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Neil Magny. He's on a 5-fight win streak here, coming off of guys that, they're good names, but they're not great names. Not that Kunimoto's a huge name here, but he's coming on a 3-fight win streak. So this should be a little bit of a step up in the competition for him. I'm hoping to see a finish here. Magny has gone to decision in the last couple of his fights. He did get the TKO knockout of William Macario, UFC 179 the last time we saw him. But I want to see something a little bit more out of him. And then the thing that we're gonna have to really watch with Ben Henderson is the cardio, is his fitness, is the turnaround too quick for him? Is he going to be able to maintain that type of output that, whether or not people say it was an exciting fight, a boring fight, there was a high level of output from him in the Cowboy Cerrone fight. So I want to see what kind of turnaround he has here, being able to maintain that output and fighting fighting in a different weight class than he's used to. You know, having that difference, going to Colorado with altitude, you know, this could really turn into a worst case scenario for Ben Henderson if things don't come together for him that night.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's going to be the Benson Henderson fight. Again, Brandon is a great fighter who just keeps getting hurt. I want to see if he still has it in him to continue. I think he has like a 10-fight first-round finish streak or some crazy thing like that. And I want to see if he still has it in him to do it. And, of course, Benson Henderson moving up a weight class on short notice. First of all, that weight cut is not going to be as bad as everyone thinks because it is 15 pounds higher. But also fighting in Colorado. He's been training in Arizona. He just fought in, I think it was Boston where he lost. And Colorado's a whole different beast when it comes to your cardio and the elevation and all that. So I wonder. I'm just gonna be curious to see how he does. Whether he's gonna come out and try to get a finish, or he's gonna keep trusting those decisions, because that's kind of what bit him in the ass last fight, was that he trusted his ability to last. I mean, again, neither guy really pulled the trigger, but Benson should have pulled the trigger and gone off on Cowboy if he really wanted that win. He really wanted that finish, but he's been getting too damn comfortable with getting decision wins. So we're going to have to see if he's finally changed his mind and become a guy that's going for a finish.
Yeah, and to your point with Brandon Thatch, all of his wins have come by finish, and all of his wins have come in the first round. So it's definitely there's some contradiction here on the information. They have his last 3 fights, win, and a loss, but right below it says that he's on a 10-fight winning streak. So I'm not really sure how that works out. But he's got that that instinct about him to be a finisher, and he looks for them. So we'll look to see what happens. Now my question for you guys is this: if Henderson loses this fight, that's 3 in a row. Are we looking at a cut, or is he safe? What do you guys think?
We're looking at one more fight at lightweight, and if he loses that, then we talk about cutting. But I think the fact that he's jumping in and short notice in a higher weight class and everything, I think that they'll give him a pass, especially if it's a good performance. But yeah, if he wins, I mean, he's got everything to gain. But if he loses, one more fight at 155, and then we figure it out.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think if he loses, one more fight, and then we'll talk about cutting, or we'll talk about cutting. But I think if he wins this fight, it's good stock for him. I think coming off 2 losses against RDA and then Cowboy, which the Cowboy loss can be a little bit discussed about. I think Cowboy did win that one. But no, we're not going to be talking about cutting Ben Henderson. He's too much of a known name for the UFC right now. He headlines these fight night cards. He headlines prelims. So no, he'll stay in the UFC for a little bit.
All right, I absolutely agree with that. And good point with the fact that he headlines a lot of their Fox cards and their prelim cards. He would definitely be a name that other organizations would look to scoop up pretty quickly, and would be a loss for the UFC. But I think we're gonna end up or round out today's show with some 5 questions from Eddie. Is that correct?
We are now. All right, I got some for you.
Oh, we are now. We're throwing you on the spot. Did we have another topic that I missed? I feel like we went before.
I got one. I got some questions. All right, starting here with the first one, Nick. We'll start with Nick and then John. So Nick, Ruthless, what's his name? Wow, I can't even talk anymore. Robbie Lawler says that he will take any test that GSP wants him to take if GSP wants to come back and fight. Do we see Robbie Lawler against GSP sometime in the future?
I would love to see that fight. I think it would be a very entertaining fight, but I don't think GSP wants to come back for a Robbie Lawler fight. I think he wants to come back and either see what Rory McDonald has, see if Rory McDonald gets the belt, and then not come back, see if Rory gets the title shot. But I think he's going to stay on the sidelines and just give Rory his shot. If Rory loses his title shot, then we'll be talking about GSP coming back.
Yeah, I agree with Nick there. That was my take as well. I think right now he's sitting smug because he said that PEDs are rampant in the sport and he wasn't going to fight again until it got cleaned up. and with all the negative stuff that's come out, all the guys popping positive, right now he's looking real smart and looking real right. And I think at this point, he's got his pick of, if ever, he comes back. I know he told Helwani that he's getting the itch more and more, but isn't ready to make that commitment. But I agree with Nick. I think that he considers Rory McDonald a friend. He considers him the heir apparent to his throne, and I don't think he's going to step in and steal that from him. So I think he's going to
all right. And then I think we kind of John's freezing
so
up.
Let's going to need some time to get back there. So I think we're going to see weighted at and
All right, John, I think you're freezing up a little bit, man. But all right, so then,
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. All right, question number 2. Damn it, I had it a second ago. Oh, okay. There's a rumor saying that John Jones is kind of he doesn't want to fight on Memorial Day weekend against Anthony Johnson. He wants to push a little farther than that. Do you think? Okay, when do you think we get to see John Bones Jones against Anthony Johnson if it's not going to be Memorial Day weekend? John.
That fight not booked already?
It's booked, but no date has been given yet. They haven't said when it's going to happen.
I thought it was booked and announced for that date, and that's what pushed the McGregor-Aldo fight back further. If you don't see him that fight, if you don't see him Memorial Day weekend, I think we'd be looking at 4th of July weekend. Another big event, another headlining event in Las Vegas. I think right now Jones has got the pull, even with the negativity surrounding him right now, that he can kind of call his shots and say, I want to fight this weekend, I want to be part of this event, and that would be the one. But if it doesn't have a Memorial Day weekend, I'd say we're going to see it 4th of July. Aldo McGregor is pushed back to June, or pushed into June. We don't have that July 4th card, really lined up yet. So that would be the one that I think he would have his eye on.
Nick?
I have to say the same thing, 4th of July weekend, but I would like to see them push the McGregor-Aldo fight to 4th of July weekend too, have a double main event, have the two title defenses in one card, because that'll be an amazing card with John Jones and Conor McGregor and Aldo. So I'd like to see it then.
All right, and then it was announced today that UFC 184 headliners Ronda Rousey and Kat Zingano were both randomly drug tested, and their results will be coming out fairly soon, according to the California State Athletic Commission. My question to you guys is: after Ashley Evans Smith, let me choose the question then. How shocking would it be if one of the headliners, either Zingano or Rousey, tested positive for any kind of PEDs? Nick?
It would not surprise me the way the sport has been this last couple of weeks. If it's Ronda Rousey, I don't know what I would think. It would be like the complete shock out of the world. But you never know with Kat Zingano. She's been going through some leg injuries and everything like that. So you do never know. But if I think anyone tests positive for anything on that whole card, it's going to be Josh Koscheck to save his job.
Very, very possible, John.
Yeah, I don't think I would be extremely shocked if one of them tested positive, and the reason for that is I don't think PEDs is as rampant or as much of an attraction to female fighters as it is for male fighters. They gain muscle mass very quickly, as we've seen with Cyborg, and it becomes extremely apparent. If you told me one of them popped for weed or something like that, that I can accept. But performance enhancing, I just don't think it appeals to the women as much as it appeals to the guys. It might be a double standard. I might be talking total shit, but that's just my, my take on it and my impression is PEDs is more of a male issue than it is a female issue.
All right, we're going to go with 3 questions because I can't think of anything else right now.
All right. So, well, let's wrap up today's episode then. I think overall this went pretty well. I can't wait to see the finished product as we post it up here. But I think this could be definitely a way to go for future broadcasts. What do you guys think?
I think so, man. I think look, man, fuck Blog Talk. I'll just say that. So what do you guys got going on? We got today's Wednesday, so we'll have another show on Saturday. Nick won't be with us, unfortunately. But what do you guys got going on between now and then? Oh man, I get to enjoy the last few days of being 28. I turn 29 next Tuesday.
That's right, next Tuesday.
So I get to feel kind of young and kind of stave off that recognizing my own mortality for at least a few more days. And nothing else, man. Just looking forward to a loud Valentine's Day weekend, but not for the reasons you guys think. I'll be watching the card at a bar on Saturday. Saturday night might be a different issue, but Saturday during the card, definitely be watching the fights.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm just working the rest of the week. Gonna try to jump on. I think we're gonna try to have a Keyboard Warriors tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Preview the card and talk about everything. If I can jump on that, that'd be awesome. Other than that, just working, Valentine's Day, spending time with my significant other. We actually exchanged gifts today because I couldn't wait for my gift. I wanted my gift. So
but, to be young and stupid, I miss it.
Hey, it's been 6 years, man.
I hear you.
But yeah, just enjoying it. So, yep.
All right.
So, all right. Well, remember to go to CrossBonesMMA.com for all your latest updates and news. Hit the store and affiliates page. Hook yourself up with some Nature Box, some F3 foods, some On It, a whole bunch of different things. Troxavin and Troxavin.com, they're up there as well. So make sure you check them out. Eddie is at Elaw31. Nick is at NickXMicro. I am at MMA John G, and obviously we are at Crossbones MMA. Hit us up on Facebook on the fan page or on the profile. Like the fan page. Friend the profile. We're making room, so we'll definitely be able to get you guys in there. And there's a lot of shit that these guys put up on the profile and the fan page that doesn't hit the website, so you're missing out. Other than that, I got nothing else. Eddie, take us home, man.
All right. See you guys later.